Oh, okay. So why do you think we write? Or maybe why do your parents want you to write? Well, writing is actually a really important skill. If you don't practice it, it's not going to get any better. I'll be honest. It is what it is. Writing is just ways to let other people know what you are thinking, basically. Okay, so some reasons I thought we need to write is to explore life. Sounds very philosophical, doesn't it? Yeah, explore life. This is like maybe like journaling, self-discovery, blah blah blah, stuff like that. Not so important for school, honestly, but it's more for if you're interested, it'll help you develop your own self and skills.
Okay.
At your age, I feel like this isn't important, I'll be honest. I feel like grade 6-years, I wasn't thinking about this stuff. I don't expect you to, but I just want you to like kind of get like why we do writing in the first place, so that you're not just like, this is for school or my mom is making me be here, that's it. And obviously we needed to understand ideas. I'm guessing since you don't write at home, you don't write like study or like do homework, do you? I'll take that silence as a as an answer then. Well then, so understanding ideas, basically we use it to study, take notes. It also helps our reading as well. To show off our learning, once again, homework. or if you just want to show people that you learned something new, and to share ideas. I think most people in the world learn to write to share ideas. In order to understand each other, if we for some reason do not speak English together, we can at least write. Okay, so the writing process is basically how you're supposed to write, and basically how to write. You're supposed to write. Not a lot of people follow all the steps. I'll admit I didn't either when I first started, but it does work, this process. It's a lot more work. Usually when you're writing something, you just write it and you go, bye, hands it to the teacher, right? But honestly, if you want good writing, you should technically follow these steps. So first, this is just like a preview. I'll go over it now. The first step is usually pre-writing. So this is when you're like choosing a topic. And then like brainstorming ideas. You like basically have so many ideas you want to write about, but which one is the one you want to write about is the question. This is what we call a mind map. So yes, it looks like a map, and it's basically a map to your brain. So it's basically how like you were thinking about all your ideas, and usually you start with one big idea in the middle, and then you just sort of like branch out, and the further away it is, it's either more specific or further away from the topic. Either way. It doesn't always, like, the green doesn't have to connect to the purple, and the purple doesn't have to connect to the yellow, but the one thing they have to connect to is like the one in the middle, the bigger idea. Okay, I love mind maps. It's how I pretty much plan all of my writing. It's easy to understand and easy to organize. I really recommend doing this before writing, once you've chosen your topic. Otherwise, things get really messy. It's also a good way to help you look for information. It's a good way to organize as well, to make it logical. So you're not talking about a table and then suddenly suddenly maybe a waffle shows up. Or maybe suddenly somebody, like a cat, dies or something. Like, I've read writing where people just like keep writing, and by the time I get to the end, I have no clue what they're talking about, and it has no relation to what was said before in the beginning. So that's why I really recommend doing pre-writing really well, like brainstorming, organizing your information. It's really important. Anyway, another like 2 other examples of listing kind of information, maybe like a list, if you just want to list kind of ideas, or even a timeline. It makes it easier for us to understand beginning, middle, and end. I feel like this is history kind of. Could be if you're like also narrating like something like instructions or something like that. And then obviously once we have our list and like a whole barrage of ideas on this messy page, we have to write the first draft. So basically turning this mind map into writing.
Yes.
Yes, and remember to always include a beginning, a middle, and an end. If you put middle, then beginning, then end, that doesn't really make a lot of sense when somebody's reading it. It has to make sense, you know, at the end of the day. Don't put at the end at the beginning, blah, 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 stuff like that. And then once you're done the first draft, you have to edit it, whether it's by yourself or giving it to a friend or any other person that you want to read it. Honestly, I was always a bit shy with my writing before, so I didn't have a lot of people edit it. But it's a good way to edit it because the way you read it, the way somebody else reads it, the feelings are different, you know? One way you can do it if you don't have any friends, that sounds really sad, but if you don't, you can read it out loud. Obviously, read it out loud is like the way you hear it and the way you're reading it, it's different. So you can detect a lot of different things just by reading it. Missing particles, missing grammar, missing punctuation, stuff like that. And obviously when you're editing, you should always ask these questions. Does it make sense? If it doesn't make sense to you, how do you expect the person reading it to understand, right? And then you have to make sure it's interesting. I'll be honest, I don't want to read it's a cat, it's fluffy, it's orange, it has stripes, it has 4 legs. I don't really want to read that. If you're in grade 6, please don't give me it's like what I was just saying. It's a cat, it has spots, it's black, it has 4 legs. Okay, and then obviously if your ideas are connected, as I said, if you're talking about a table, don't talk about cats. Unless maybe if the cat is on the table. Or like don't talk about suddenly snow or something like that. Usually ideas should be connected or relevant to each other. And grammar, spelling, punctuation, obviously. For like usually I tend to like alternate between like actual writing, like kind of like for example research writing, narrative writing, like types of writing, or like where you can put certain writings with grammar. Grammar is honestly not the funnest, but it is important. So I'll try my best, but unfortunately we'll still have to do some grammar. Okay. So that's editing. Yeah, so like as you can tell, you take out certain words, you write it. So this is first draft. First draft is usually not perfect. Unless you're some sort of machine, then I would question it. But anyway, after you're done editing, you have a final draft. Obviously, please don't give me like this kind of writing with all the crisscrosses, all the like markings on it. It's gonna make it hard for the reader in the end. So so a final draft. Okay. Because I'm gonna send you the homework through email and then send it back as a Google Doc. You know how to use Google Docs, right? Because it makes it easier for me to make any corrections or comments, that's all. Okay, so that is the final draft. And after you're done your final draft, best part, you hand it in. Or you say goodbye or share it of some sort. Yay, and that's the writing process. It seems like a lot of steps, but it's pretty much only maybe like 3 or 4 at most. So you think of ideas, you do your brainstorming, and then you write your first draft, you edit your first draft, and then you produce a final and hand it in. Okay? Simple enough. So traits of good writing. Obviously, your ideas need to be clear. They need to be focused. As I said, don't talk about cats when you're talking about tables unless they're somehow related. And you have to have a clear beginning, middle, and end. Easy to follow. It's a map. Voice tends to be a little bit harder because this is like individual, like way, like the way you talk to your teacher maybe is different how you talk to me, even though, or like how you talk to your boss if you were at work is different than how you would talk to your mom, right? Kind of like that. And then word choice, as I said, make things more interesting. Not it's a cat. It has 4 legs. Use more adjectives, descriptions, like stronger words. Its legs were short and stubby. It had 3 claws. All of them were different. This monster cat had also 2 heads. One was smaller than the other, and had 3 eyes and 2 wings on its back. I don't know. I'm just coming up with weird examples now. Yeah, anyway, and then obviously it has to flow. So different like kind of sentence lengths. Don't make like sometimes short like sentences work, but not always. Not at the same time. And obviously check your grammar and spelling and blah 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 stuff. Okay, and just a short explanation for this week. I just want to see what you can do. So I just want you to write me something about your favorite activity or hobby. Okay? Give me a mind map and at least 3 paragraphs. And this is more for if you don't understand what a paragraph is, must be at least 3 sentences. Okay?